And then that place, I think, ended up having like a drug bust or something like that. So that shut down.
Naturally.
Hey guys, welcome back to Little Big Opinions. I'm Big.
And I'm Little.
And we have another special guest with us today. Sports Talk Miami legend Brendan Tobin from 560 WQAM is with us today. Tobin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me. Excited to do this with you guys.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for taking the time. You are, as he said, a legend here, and you put up, you work so much. So it's for you to take some time on a Monday at 9 p.m. We really appreciate it. So
it's all good, guys. It's the beauty of having the garage studio. If it's not as great glamorous as it seems. I got the dryer going right next to me, but I'm happy to be here with you boys.
Yeah, we're in a garage in ourselves. We're in our new studios. We're part of 786 Sports Network here, and we just moved into this place in West Miami. So you could see we're trying to dub it up a little bit here.
We are Tobin, we are a Miami Dolphins fan first podcast. You know, it looks like I could be a player with my size, but unfortunately I'm not. Too much of a wuss. But what we're trying to do here is come to some Miami Dolphins fans like yourself, interview them, and kind of understanding your experience as a Dolphins fan. So let's talk about yourself first. Where are you from? Are you from Miami, South Florida?
I'm from Deerfield Beach. So from the 954, and I actually grew up. It was my first team was the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I was always the Dolphins were always adjacent because my grandfather had season tickets. So I would go to a bunch of Dolphins games, and we sat through the 1-15 season. That was absolutely brutal. It just got to a point where the Jags thing. It was somewhere between like having kids, right? Because one of the things that bothers me, to be honest with you, and I learned this from my grandfather, because my grandfather was from New York, and he dropped all of his New York teams when he came down here. He came down to South Florida. He opened a business down here, and he infiltrated himself in the community. He rooted for the Marlins. He had season tickets to the Marlins, to the Dolphins, took me to Heat games, took me to Panthers games.
Awesome grandfather.
Yeah. So like I was just like, I got to a point like where it was somewhere between the Jaguars had lost they had lost to the Patriots. I think that was kind of like my last run of it. Apologize. My co-host Leroy Hoare is trying to call me. And then and just like they went to this goofy thing of like getting Urban Meyer to run their team. And I was just like, I'm done with these guys, man. Like the owner's son was like doing wrestling bits during the draft. And all the while, like I'm always following the Dolphins. Like I had season tickets. I literally watched every single game more than even Jaguars games just because of my job. I always found myself more interested in the storylines anyway. So it just got to a point where they got kind of the full embrace of everything. But I'd always like been there anyway. Like I was there for, Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas. I was in the stands for these games. I was there for Greg Camarillo and people crying in the stands for this. Like, so it's never that I, wasn't Dolphins in, but they didn't get my full embrace, because then I was just like, man, if I'm going to raise my kids, like they root for every South Florida team and they're going to root for the Jaguars. That's goofy as hell. So it just kind of like, I took a point, I think, when my son probably got to like 5 years old. I'm just like, yeah, this is just my team now. And now, is that a smart decision with how things have gone? Maybe not, but it is. I'm here, boys. It doesn't matter. Like
let's go.
That's just where it's been. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. It's and hopefully greener pastures are ahead. But it's been tough sledding.
Yeah. I would not be a fan either, but based on what's happened in our lifetime. But it's funny enough you say that, because we've known each other for a long time, since we were 3 years old. And I remember a time that we were walking from. We went to private school. We're walking from the church back to the school, and this guy's claiming he's a Chicago Bulls fan because of Jordan. And I was like, you got to be a Miami.
You have to
Heat
bring
fan.
this up to him.
Like, yeah, I got to.
He has a Haslam painting right behind him.
Yeah, because we got to rep Miami. So I appreciate that. That's what you're doing for your son. I I'm also sorry for him that you're making that happen because
Yeah.
it's been rough. Is there a memory? So you mentioned great ones there. Is there an earliest memory that that sticks to you with the Dolphins or no?
I just remember Ricky just going ham at Pro Player and just like everybody being crazy about it. And I remember how the retirement thing was so bananas because you just remember how awesome he was. And like, it's crazy the times because like now we have such a different theory on weed and how crazy people got about that Ricky Williams was just really in a lot of pain. He liked to smoke his weed. And I just don't feel like that would get the same animosity as it did back then. But my God, he was like the most breathtaking player to watch in person. He was a behemoth. He carried those teams, him and the defense. They just, couldn't figure out the quarterback thing. And I just think like that's the thing that always just sticks out are those performances. And just, yeah, like there weren't a lot of great seasons like with playoff wins or anything like that, obviously. But I just remember the fun with my grandfather just because of how much I enjoyed those moments because he made me he's just so crucial in my identity as a sports fan. And so that meant a lot to me as well, just sitting in our corner spot there at the stadium to watch those games hot as hell.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing is that little roof they put on us now because before at 1 o'clock when the sun's just beaming down, that brutal.
Yeah, we have season tickets and we're in the shade, but we sat with some friends that are in the sunlight and we were there for what, like half a quarter. We had to leave. It was brutal, and it was December. It was later in the season.
Yeah, it was one of the last games of the year. It was against Buffalo.
Oh, that's right. It was the Buffalo game, November. If you had to bring one Dolphins player back, that's not number 13, Dan Marino, for this current football team, who would you bring?
Ooh, for this current football team.
Yeah.
Like we're on our way to foundations, like those type of players. Obviously, Dan Marino would be the answer, but that's not fair. So got to pick another one.
Man, I feel like for this particular team, I think JT's probably the answer because I feel like they don't have like the elite pass rusher, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Like I hope Ruben Bain falls to them so badly.
Oh, can you imagine
in the draft? So I'm gonna say JT. I feel like him or Zach Thomas is like a can't miss answer for that. But yeah, I do feel because I feel like there's a lot of good pieces on this defense, but they don't have a star. Right. Like even the offense has Devon Achane
and Waddle.
Yeah, and Waddle. But like the defense, I think Sealer's a good player. I guess you could say Jordan Brooks is a stud player. Yeah, but I don't think anybody would qualify him as a star. So I think that's probably the guy I would go with.
Yeah, that's what you need in this league to win, right? You need pass rushers, and JT was one of the best of all time. So that's a great answer.
And playmaker too, all those touchdowns. What an absolute stud. And also he was a very good looking guy. Hey, I'm just going to say that. I told you, we went to an all boys school here. So, it's embedded in us. Sorry about that, Ben.
Handsome's handsome, dude. You can't deny it.
See, there you go. Here you go.
So you're in the media and you've seen a long time. Like we've said, we followed your career as you've gone to different shows and you've been part of all the great, some of our favorites. And now you have your own, which is one of our favorites as well. So how have you seen the fan base change? Like, have you seen a difference in how they respond to the team?
No, I actually haven't. I think that the Dolphin fan, one of the things that I respect about them so much is how much they can keep coming back for more. I know a lot of writers feel like, oh, there's a lot of apathy. And I think that everybody goes through their lulls of things that are just not that interesting. But I just feel from the fan base just such a yearning, such a thirst that they're just dying to be in some kind of real winning football situation. And I don't think that has really changed. They're the heritage team in town. There used to be a thing when we were in sports radio when the Heat were, really on the up. And there was a point where, Stephen Ross made a comment about when LeBron left that, they weren't going to be as relevant anymore. And then the Heat kind of clapped back and they started going with basketball town because this was always said it's a football town, right? And I think that the great thing that's been awesome to see throughout my professional career is just how much this town can embrace anything. I think it's like they want to see sustained success, but I've been blown away by how people have embraced hockey down here.
Yeah, the Cats.
The Cats have been that. The Canes having a year this year that was so memorable and loving, and I just thought to myself, like, man, I mean, just imagine how this fan base would react if the Dolphins got to do that. And so yeah, there's a lot of people pissed off, which is warranted. There's a lot of people who maybe have checked out because they're tired of the buffoonery, but I do think that all of that comes from a place of just hunger for this to work, because this is the team that has not been just handed down from fathers to sons, which is kind of like where my Heat, and it's like I was a kid growing up. Now I have kids who are starting to get into sports, but this is the sport that had like grandfathers passed down, great grandfathers passed down. That's how long the Dolphins have been around. So I still sense a lot of that, and so maybe like there's a bleakness or a lack of faith just because of how long it's been. But I just also feel behind a lot of that is just people wanting the winning so badly. Because look, in the grand scheme of things, like what the Heat have done in the last few years, like, yeah, people are annoyed, but all in all, like if you're my age, you've seen a lot of great things happen. I think the Panthers are on this unprecedented point, but the Dolphins just, there's my producer right now, she is 25 years old. She literally knows no Dan Marino. She knows nothing of this. She didn't even get to see Dan flourish. So like they're
bad team. That's it.
Yeah, there's so many fans at that point where like you're talking an entire adulthood of people who have not seen the Dolphins win a playoff game, and that is crazy. But I don't think it's dinged the fan base as far as like people checking out. I do feel like, maybe people aren't wrapping their arms around the new duo as much just because like they've kind of been there, done that. But I do think that they're still like, once the season starts and once they figure out what the pieces are, I think they will be just as excited to figure out what the plan is to get them back to, where they used to be.
It's like you said, that the historic Canes run this past season, that month span, right? That going through the playoffs and the feeling, what the city was, that if the Dolphins are good again, you're going to get that amplified, right? And that's just something to look forward to. But speaking of the new duo, what are your thoughts on this, on the franchise and the direction that it's going? We feel that this is the first full rebuild that we have seen it in a very long time that doesn't have the Chris Greer embedded there, the Tannenbaum and stuff like that. This is soup to nuts new. And then hopefully now with Tua, not being on the team anymore, it's really going to be a rebuild. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's mostly positive for right now, but I don't really have a full grasp on what their plan is yet. I think Sully is really like close to the vest on things because he, knows that he probably has to part ways with a lot of people. So he is like keeping the plan. He's not giving out a lot of vast opinions on things. Hafley, the coach, kind of like most coaches, seem like more of a real dude. And you're like, all right, I can see why people will like playing for this guy. I did find it interesting, like on those report cards that came out. I don't know if you guys saw those. They leaked ESPN, but the Packers grades weren't great, but he had an A, and I was like, oh, that's kind of encouraging. Like, it's people seem to be interested in him, but I do like that they're on the same page. I strangely like the idea that Troy Aikman was involved in the search.
Yeah,
I feel like the Dolphins needed an outside voice. I felt like they needed like a guy to just be like, you know what? These are my guys. I think you should go with. And it feels like everybody kind of agreed on that path and sent it in a new place. So I'm very hopeful. I don't know though. Like I think if you told, but the good thing with Sully right now is I think he literally could go in any direction other than bringing back Tua. He could go in any other direction, and I think everybody would sign. If you told him, hey, we're going to see if Quinn Ewers has anything, but if he doesn't, we'll draft a quarterback. I think everybody would be like, cool. If you could pay Malik Willis, cool. We'll be in on that. You could draft whoever this year, and we're going to have a real competition. fine. You could go the route of a retread quarterback and people will buy into it at least for a year. I think he really does have as blank of a canvas as anybody could have, with the, the albatross of the money's not that great right now. So he's kind of got to strip it down and be creative with it. But yeah, I think the hiring process of it all went pretty well. This is what you would want. You would want two guys invested in each other on the same page. It's going to be good right now. If there's losing, someone's going to snip to the media and it's going to cost one of them their jobs, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it all works out with each other.
Yeah. And that's that last part, which you have experienced, I'm sure, was why it didn't make sense to bring McDaniel back last year, because eventually someone's going to start talking. And the fact that they're on the same page, they're coming in on the same foundation. I think ultimately it's easy to see who do you blame and who you don't. It's kind of both of them at this point.
Yeah. And McDaniel deserved to get fired. Like, because here's the thing with McDaniel. Like, I thought McDaniel, like, I liked the bit. I liked the funny answers, him sounding different. But the other thing with Mike McDaniel is he got to come into a coaching situation that, okay, he had to fix Tua. That's the big burden that he had. But he got to do it with a clear, basically spending as much money as he wants, spending draft capital on the best receiver in the league. He basically got to, get a souped up. He didn't go through the rebuild. He got to come with it built and ready to go. And the problem is like, all right, it could have worked in some theories, but it all had to be very perfect. And it was very flimsy, basically built on Tua's head, Teron Armstead's knee, and how much you could run cheetah. Right. And once that all burnt out, and basically losing all your pass rushers too. But once that all burnt out, they didn't really have a path back. And I didn't think that he was great in the games where things were taken away from him. I didn't think that he was particularly great at leading an organization. Seems like a perfectly nice guy, but I think he had a lot of flaws as far as being the leader of an organization. So I was fine with him letting him go. Yeah,
and you saw what Mostert said today on the. I did. And I think that's pretty eye-opening and wild.
What did he say?
He came out and he basically, he said that he's a nice guy, but you can't go with that nice guy act when you're leading a football team in the NFL. And he had great things to say about Shanahan, but I think it was telling that it's just time to go. I mean, like you said, if you don't build the foundation the right way, it doesn't go perfect. We're in the mess that we're in now, and that's what they tried to go for. And I appreciate it. 2023 was a lot of fun. Just ends like this.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I think I don't think, like, I know people get at Teron Armstead and Jalen Waddle recently because they said, oh, was that a Super Bowl team? And I think, like, look, if the Patriots this year got to the Super Bowl, there's definitely worlds where that Dolphins team could have gotten to the Super Bowl, but they needed to have home field advantage. They needed to not blow it, and they needed to stay a little healthy. And the problem is like they had so many veterans, that was the end. And of course, Tua, having the head issues that he did, like once that became a thing yet again, it was kind of over. And look, I was somebody I was for paying Tua. I was like, listen, he's putting up numbers we haven't seen. This is an offense we hadn't seen. He seems like he's figured it out. What are the odds that the concussion thing is going to come back? And it turned out to be really high odds because it happened 2 games into the next season. So it was a mistake. I can't kill him for it because that's what I was for them paying him. But I know I will say, look, I know plenty of Dolphin fans because I hear a lot of the audience were skeptical of it. Hey, have him play it out. And that in hindsight was 100% the right decision.
Yeah. I mean, he said it plenty of times. If you maybe had the room set up a little bit different, then you don't have to have the pressure to pay him. But this is all stuff that already happened. We're moving on to we're done with Tua, we're done with Chris Greer, and we're on to different things.
So for those of you, we got Brendan Tobin here, 560 WQAM, Tobin and Leroy every weekday, 10 to 2 o'clock. Like we said earlier before you hopped on, I've been listening to you for a very long time. How long have you been in sports radio? When did you start?
When I was 21, and I am almost 40, so about 18, 19 years.
Wow. Yeah, I remember listening to you on the radio. Now, were you with Zaz, right?
Yep. No, it was, so I started off like I interned at 790 The Ticket, which was the other sports station in town. And I did basically everything that you had there, like cutting sound, going and reporting at games, at training camps, all kind of like the gopher work. Then I would produce, which is, you book guests, you make montage of sounds, you answer calls, and kind of just run the show. I was doing a lot of stuff on the mornings, and then, radio having the millions of budget cuts that it does. They were like, yeah, we have too many people on the morning. We need you to go to night. And so, we had a nighttime host, Jonathan Zaslow, who was starting off taking on the shift there. He basically would be on when there weren't games, and was his producer for, from then there out. And Zaz ended up getting the morning show with Mark Hochman because Hawk was leaving the Levitard show and Stu Gatz was going to stick around. They were thinking about doing it together, but then it ended up being Hawk staying in mornings and Zaslow was going to be his partner. And so Zaslow brought me along with him to the morning, hit it off with Hogman. Our other producer was Joy Taylor. And we had a ball, man. I mean, it was a great time. I thought it was a really fun radio show while that lasted until Hawk went to QAM. And then when Romberg and Amber Joy was and Zaslow did their thing, that was great. When we brought in Romberg, it was great. We had a really good run. I really enjoyed producing radio shows. It was a ball. And then it just got to a point where we ended up our midday guy quit, and they were looking for a new host for the middays with Leroy Horde. And I literally told my boss, I'm like, please just give me a shot to do it. I told Zaslow and the crew, I said, I'll still do mornings, which is in hindsight crazy because I was getting up at like
that's the grind.
4 in the morning and just talking and yammering until 3 p.m. But that's what I wanted. It was probably sometime between, when Hawk left and Joy and Zaslow were doing the show, and I was very, very prevalent on air. I was talking all the time on the show, so I was comfortable doing some weekend stuff. And then I just wanted my shot because there's only so many times a hole opens up in local radio. So did that for free for like 4 months. They actually weren't even going to go with me. They were going to go with this news anchor. And then thankfully he ended up getting a job in New York, and Leroy wanted me in the first place anyway. So he's like, well, I wanted him anyway. So I'll always be indebted to Leroy for that. But I love it, man. It's what I wanted to do. I feel very blessed to be able to do it for as long as I have and as long as they'll have me.
Yeah, and you learn from great people in the business. I think all the people you've mentioned, you're right. They're all fun shows, and I, for whatever reason, always listen to sports talk radio, and the whole list you just named, there's all the people that I grew up listening to, and you guys put up great content, and you still do, like I said. So I think it's also great that you kind of tell your story, because a lot of people think, we have a fun little podcast here, but we understand that it's a lot of hard work what you guys do. We're not trying to pretend to be you guys. And I think it's good for everyone to hear that, it takes a lot of work to put in your hours and take your shot.
It does. But you know what I say to everybody, I think the thing that's great is that we have technology that's so good these days that people can go and make podcasts and make content, because why the hell not? Like it's there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to get on here and get an audience, because it's an awesome thing that we have things like YouTube and podcast platforms or wherever, Twitch, that it sounds good, it looks good, because there was a day and age where back in 2008 you needed a good sounding mic. You probably had to work in radio. It doesn't those aren't the rules anymore. Yeah. And so I tell kids all the time, like, who want to do this, or anybody who wants to do this as like a passion piece, or just we'll see what happens, like, just do it. Like, that's the beauty of it right now. You guys can sound awesome. Your set looks absolutely incredible. There's no rules anymore that say, hey, you have to do it this way. It's not, that's how it was. That's not how it is. And that's honestly a great thing, because if I would have known, if back then I could have streamed my shows and videoed them and had him looking like, as and sounding as good as it did on the radio, then maybe I would have gone a different path. It's just not what it was at that time. But I think it's awesome how things are these days, and there's so many different ways that people can get content out and creative ways they can do it, and people expressing themselves. I think that's an awesome part of today's day and age.
It's just so much fun to do this. We've been doing it for about a year now, but it's a blast. First of all, you're getting with the boys all the time. You're talking ball. It's what we do in the group chats. We're just putting it on camera. Then we're meeting fun people like yourself and others, people that we grew up listening to and we listen to every single day. So it really is a surreal moment and a blast. But this is Miami. So, Tobin, the aliens are coming tomorrow. The world is going to end tomorrow. It's over. You know that you're going to have your last meal here in Miami, okay? Local spots. What are you eating? And it could be anything or everything you want. What is your last meal?
Oh, man, that's such a good question. Where would I go? Because I'm going to go nostalgic. Like, I'm going to go to all places that I went to in college, which is either going to be like Yambo to get like their carne asada plate with the queso frito. Or I could just go simple. I could just go Steve's Pizza on Biscayne Boulevard and get 2 of their pepperoni slices. Like, those would probably be my top 2 of all time. And it's just like harkening back to being like a college fatty, just like loving it. I mean, I remember when I discovered Steve's Pizza, I was like, is there any place that like is open all the time? And that was the place. They were like, yeah, there's this. I was like, what? It was
that
like
the one with the giant pizza?
Yes, it had giant pizza. Yes, they had very big pizzas, and they would chalk their stuff full of toppings. It's not as good as it was. Maybe this is just me being an old person. It's not as good. I've definitely done the sneak run, like after some Heat games, if like the traffic's really bad, and I'm like, I guess I'll go to Biscayne up until Aventura because it's all shut down. And it's just not as good as it was that I remember. But my God, when it was top notch. It was as good a pizza as I'd found outside of like Bob's in Deerfield Beach. But if I'm going Dade, those are my 2 favorite spots. I also like Half Moon Empanadas. That place is really good too.
Oh, in Brickell, right? That one?
I think they have multiple locations. The one I go to is the hell street is it on? It's over by Solid Gold, in by Biscayne, but a little nook off of it. But I know there are multiple locations.
You went to Barry, right? So
yes.
Where would you guys in college go out? Like, where was your guys' spot to go out mostly?
Man, there was the funny thing about going out at Barry was like it always felt like there was a new spot every year because another place was getting shut down. Because I remember my freshman year was bar hopping more. There was this place called AJ Rocks on Dixie, and would go there. Like, they didn't check IDs. I think I got in my first time with my Barry ID because I was 17. I wasn't even 18 yet when I got to college. And like, the guy was just, whatever, go in. And they didn't care. And then that place, I think, ended up having like a drug bust or something like that. So that shut down.
Naturally.
AJ Rocks, right?
AJ Rocks, yeah, dude. It was, oh man, that place. There was then like the other place there was this place Billy's, which is still standing there. I celebrated my 19th birthday there. I got absolutely hammered. Clubs. Went to a place in Hard Rock. No, not at Hard Rock. It was where that Hard Rock is now at Bayside. It was called Torero's. I remember I went to a club there. That was the first time, and I was part of a fraternity, but our fraternity was you guys remember the movie Old School?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay, well, you know how Old School, like for the newer, younger audience, Old School was these middle-aged gentlemen started their own fraternity because their guy was going to lose his house, so he sanctioned it to be a frat house, and they basically partied with a bunch of college kids. But the funny thing was, when I got to Barry has a lot of non-traditional students, so like the fraternity had a lot of like 27-year-olds, 28-year-olds.
You got an old man there.
You got like old men, like, but they knew their ways around town, and so they knew the bouncers, and so they would get us all underage. They would get us into the clubs, and we could hang out and feel like we were somebody. So it was a great time. So that was a place, and then there was this real like. Remember my junior year, there was this place called Blue Moon Cafe down in Sunny Isles. That was like a real go-to spot. Maybe it was I think it was sophomore year or junior. No, it was sophomore year. That was like the go-to spot. Where everybody it was popping for like a year, and then that place got shut down.
Yeah.
Barry has a rivalry with Nova. Is that a rivalry?
I mean,
we're hearing that Nova has a really popular basketball team right now.
Yeah.
Well, does that hurt?
It does hurt. It does hurt. Well, it hurt because I do love my Bucks. That's why you can see I have my Barry Buccaneer right there, because I really do love that school. I adore it. I know it's little, but I really did learn a lot there. But sports was not like the things we were good at sports when I was there. We had a great volleyball team. I think we won the national championship that I was there. And we had like, dude, the women we had on this team, they were all like 6'6", 6'7". I was like, where do we they got all of them from Brazil. It was crazy. So we killed in volleyball, but we were never great in like baseball. I think we had a good run at soccer at one point when I left. But basketball, yeah, the problem is Nova has this guy, Jim Crutchfield, who's like some kind of offensive savant. Even Eric Spoelstra's like leaned on him for advice. I've had him on the radio show, and he's mocked me many times because I think he's beaten Barry like I don't know how many straight times, and he kills them every time.
Well, I think tomorrow they're going for like 100 straight home games, something like that.
I would believe it. I mean, yeah, he's won I think like 3 national championships, Division II. He's ridiculous.
Wow. Favorite wings in Miami, if you had to pick.
South Florida.
Ooh, man, my favorite wings in Miami. I'll tell you, man, I don't even know the name of it. I'll send it to you guys afterwards. But we have so the station's on top of a like a cafeteria type setting. Like, so there's a burger joint, there's a sushi joint, and there's a Caribbean joint in there. And these people make the best jerk chicken wings you will ever taste in your life.
Wow. Okay.
It's at the Citadel, which is in like El Portal. It's a little north of Little River, that kind of area.
Yeah.
The Caribbean place that's like right under the big TV. I wish I knew the name of it, but because I don't really look at them, just like, oh, that smells amazing. But they have the best jerk chicken wings ever. Like I wouldn't say they're spicy. They're just perfect. I don't even know how to put it into words. Like these things are just heaven right now. But that's my go-to spot. Like Sports Grill's got good stuff. I like their wings are good. I've done like appearances there, and I like that they do like the little extra flap wing. Those are awesome. But yeah, those jerk wings at the Citadel, man, those are top notch for me right now.
And no love for Flanagan's.
I like Flanagan's for other stuff besides the wings. I think the ribs are top notch. The rib rolls are amazing. I've never thought Flanagan's wings are like a 1 seed. I think that they're like a solid, I think that they're like a solid 4. But yeah. I don't. But I like a lot more things at Flanagan's besides the wings.
Right. I hear you. I'm guessing we're probably around the same age. We also grew up watching wrestling, so I know that you're a big wrestling fan. During that time, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, DX. I mean, we used to do all sorts of terrible things to each other. Who is your favorite during that time?
Man, it's hard not to go with Stone Cold. Stone Cold was great. Love Stone Cold. I loved every time that he would just do something to Vince McMahon just to torture him. It was the best. The beer truck was my favorite. I love the beer truck bit where he just like backs it in and just like starts spraying everybody and going crazy. I liked when Kurt Angle came back and did it with the milk truck.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fine touch for Kurt Angle as well.
You're still a fan now, right? You still follow, or
I follow like through social media and whatnot. I can't remember the last time like I've watched a full show, but I feel like I catch the clips. But I couldn't, like, I know last year was Cena's farewell tour. I know that he lost because I saw the memes of him losing to that guy Gunther. I don't know who Gunther is. So I would say I try and keep tabs. I'm like in the that verse just because like I saw, did Logan Paul win yesterday or he was winning?
I don't know. We don't follow anymore.
He's asking wrestling questions.
I don't know. Yeah, if you asked me like who's got the belts right now, I couldn't tell you.
Right, but I did hear that Cena's the GOAT, and would you agree that Cena's the GOAT?
Oh
no, I don't think he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
that's Hulk Hogan, dude, or Stone Cold. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he's not my GOAT. Like this is one of those things where like I feel like it's probably like a, you know, this is like a LeBron MJ type. Like he can't be my GOAT. I'm sorry. No, that's gonna go to Stone Cold or The Rock. Like it's gonna go to somebody from that era. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, the Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
I just think that these guys are just so iconic. Like John Cena is definitely like he deserves something for probably carrying the company for as long as he did, longer than these guys did. But I also think that, let's be real about it, like it's almost like it's not like the steroid era, because I don't want to accuse John Cena of doing steroids, but it's almost like when you see everybody else's mistakes and you see how wrestlers lived, John Cena has like such a great blueprint of like how not to act, that of course he was going to last longer. Like he didn't live hard like the other guys did.
Oh, what he does with the Make-A-Wish, it's commendable stuff.
Oh, it's great. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. You're huge into MMA, right? Don't you? Yes. Do you have you still do the show?
I don't do a regular MMA show. That was my first regular gig, was Fighters Fury. I'm broadcasting now, which is kind of the coolest thrill right now. My professional career is calling for this new promotion called Dirty Boxing Championships. It goes by DBX. And we're actually back in Miami on April 10th. We're doing a show the day before UFC 327 at Kaseya, which is going to be really cool because I know like the atmosphere is going to be amazing. Like I just, the guys who run this are like, they represent some of the biggest UFC fighters, and they've started kind of their own thing. And they, you know, we've gone out on the road for our last two cards. We went to Nashville and we went to Houston, which was awesome at like these, you know, these cool music venues, and the cards are just awesome. And to explain Dirty Boxing to you guys, it's like, you're basically allowed to do everything in your upper body. So you can, except headbutt, you could punch, you can elbow, you can spinning elbow, spinning back fist, and you could follow up ground and pound. You can't kick. And it's just like every one of these fights, like if you're not a huge fight fan, just imagine the fights on speed. And they're just tons of knockouts, tons of highlight finishes. But these are really skilled fighters. Like they're really, really good. So I'm really, really enjoying that right now. And it's been the thrill. But yeah, my first regular show on 790 The Ticket was a show called Fighters Fury, which my guy Alex Dono used to host. And then Dono went to WQAM and they needed somebody to host it. I was more of a boxing guy, but Dono had actually got me very into mixed martial arts. He's like, hey, you got to watch this guy Fedor. I was like, all right. So I started watching Fedor Emelianenko's fights. And then I was very into Kimbo Slice because he was from down here. So I'd watch the Kimbo events when he busted open that dude's ear. We watched that on CBS. I remember watching that with my boys in college. So that was my first gig. I love fighting. And I love talking to fighters. They're my favorite interviews by far out of any athletes. I think they're the most fascinating people because there's so many guys. I have talked to the best and the biggest, but I've also talked to a lot of local Miami guys, and I just love it. I love what everybody has to bring from their stories. It's so fascinating too. You do these local cards, and you'd be like, man, this guy got 3,000 people to buy tickets to see him fight at the Hard Rock. That's friggin' impressive. There's people who like struggle doing that on national cards. And so like I see these guys like Harold Calderon or JD Martinez or Yuli Diaz and like the amount of following that they were able to build for themselves down here in Miami was just really inspirational to see stuff like that. And so yeah, I love talking to the guys down here, and I'm actually like, now that football's over, I really want to get more of them back in the fold for the show, because I just think it adds like a different element to our radio show, and they're just really fun to talk to.
So more strikers that grappling, can you submit and stuff like that in BDX?
No, you can't. In DBX, it's only striking. There's no grappling.
Okay.
There's no holding. If you hold like more than once, the ref will take a point from you. It's like literally built for. Go look it up on YouTube. All the cards are up there.
This sounds really fun.
Yeah, go. I bet
watch.
I bet you if you guys went to YouTube, you watch Dirty Boxing Championship, throw on a card that's like not. You'll have the time of your life. I will tell you the fight to go watch. Go watch Travis St. John versus Jancy Silva, and tell me you don't ever want to watch that sport again. Like, dude, this guy went from knockdown, comes up, Superman punches the guy. There's spinning elbow. Like, it looked like a damn ninja movie. It was crazy, and I really was like, that is like this feels like it's going to be something. And it was cool because Travis he lost his first 2 DBX fights, and then he finally won his last one in Texas. So he's from Texas, and dude, the place, the roof blew off the place. It was so cool. So yeah, just give yourself, if you guys ever can't, if you're bored and you want to check out like a high speed sport, watch them on Instagram too. They put them all. Go look up Dirty Boxing on Instagram. You can watch the fights there as well. Like, you can go scroll through and reel. You're on the toilet, just give it a looky loo. I'm telling you, you guys are gonna like it
for sure. Yeah, it's like the Arturo Gatti Ward fight. Just going back and looking at those, how much it's just so entertaining.
All right, I don't have any more questions. I don't know if you do.
I do not, man. But listen, again, we really appreciate you coming on. This has been a surreal moment for myself, listening to somebody, on my, starting to work and getting employed, coming out of college, putting on $7.90 the ticket in the mornings and stuff like that. I grew up, in the last 15 years, listening to you. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on LBO. We really appreciate you, man.
You got it, guys, man. And let me know. We'll do something before the season or in season if you want to. Let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
All right. See you, boys.
All right.
Later, man.
Sayonara,
Take care.
suckers.